objection?
Last week I was here to lambast Inec when Inec, said the election might be postponed, and I said Inec lacks the powers to do that. Perhaps Inec was not properly guided, because that utterance that it made, caused a lot of reactions, and I think Inec had eaten back its words and said that it was quoted out of context. INEC cannot postpone election. Election is a constitutional thing that is enshrined in our constitution. You can only have the Electoral Act coming out to list out the modalities to which INEC can use to conduct election. But INEC cannot come and say we can postpone, no matter the situation we have, except you have to invoke the provisions of the constitution as enshrined. Now, the statement by INEC that election will not be postponed is reassuring. That is what I had expected of the electoral umpire. That's what I had expected of INEC, that is independent. That's what I expected of a body that has been given billions of naira to, carry out its duties. That is what I expect of a body that all Nigerians are supporting, all Nigerians are looking up to. Just like what the national chairman said, that election of 2023 belongs to the young people. You cannot come to dash the hopes of all young Nigerians who had expected that there will be change of governance, that there will be new phase of leadership, there will be new ways of doing things, new ideologies, new blood being infused into the system. So the reassurance by INEC, the election will hold, is a welcome development, is commendable, is applauded. If the INEC chairman feels that he cannot sit on the seat, that the seat is too hot, he should leave the kitchen. Somebody else will step in. Election of February and March is sacrosanct. Nigerians have waited for this for too long, and we cannot wait any longer. Any attempt to shift election could lead us to chaos, could lead us to unexpected constitutional breaches, and I don't even envisage what will happen, because it will be like a coup against Nigerians. It will be like tenure elongation. How do you even imagine it? The constitution did not make provisions for interim government. You put the date of the executive, the date of whoever is elected had been enshrined in the constitution to be 4 years, and you now postpone. When you postponed, what happened? Are you now trying to extend the tenure of those that are there? Now, don't forget that the timetable as issued by INEC is material that will be used in litigation, and the constitution has given you the time frame. It will be 60 days publication. This will stop by this. 30 days this will do. 40 days this will do. If you now shift, it will encroach on the timing. So that's why I said that it will have led us to chaos that nobody can even imagine. So for INEC to come and reassure Nigerians that the election will hold is commendable and a welcome development.
But Nigerians are worried about security threats, attack on INEC facilities. How do we do that if it continues unabated? I mean,
it is unfortunate that Nigerians are, Nigeria is under a very serious security threat. I had said before that we are fighting a war with our enemies, war with non-state actors, but the government has refused to accept that we are fighting a war. Because the sooner the government accept that this is war, every artillery, every mercenary, every tactics of war will be deployed. But what the government seems to tell you is that these are criminals, these are hoodlums, these are bandits. Even the word terrorists, very hard you see government use it. They keep on giving it a code. They give it a coded name that looks a little bit sweeter. Say they are bandits, they are headsmen, they are those who are trying to succeed, those who are trying to agitate. They don't want to give it the real name, that this is a war which we are fighting. And as far as you continue to live in self-denial, you will not be able to fight the battle the way you should fight it. So the government is still living in a dream world that, we are decimating terrorists, bandits, even where...
But don't you think that if the government doesn't handle that semantics like that, it will appear, to the Nigerians, the Nigerian people and the global stage that Nigeria is afraid and has, maybe run out of ideas or so. So as somebody who wants to protect your children, when you show an element of fear in you, don't you know it has a way of affecting your children?
You see, it is even cowardice, so to speak, for someone to see the obvious, to see the truth glaring on your face, and you keep denying it. The truth is, you tackle the matter headlong. You call a spade, give it a name that it deserves, that it is.
But
when
in
you
Christianity,
call it a name,
in Christianity, they say you should call the things that be not as though they were.
that is faith. You are bringing faith. You are bringing faith into reality, what is really happening. In faith, nobody has ever seen God. That's the truth about it. But we believe is that God exists. And we all believe that God exists. Nobody has ever seen God. If you see it, someone will tell you, I dreamt and I was with God. They are dream. Nobody witnessed it. He's the only one that can speak how God looks. So when you bring faith into reality, you are simply going metaphorical, and which is not the approach you should use to tackle serious matter, serious issues. Where do you have faith in the Constitution of Nigeria? No, where do you have belief? You should believe in, that these things be not as though they were in the Constitution. It's not there. The Constitution is very clear that the government has the instrumentality of violence. The government has the apparatus to nip any crisis, any uprising in the board. The president is the commander-in-chief, and the armed forces. It's not our religious leader. It's not a leader. It's not a priest to tell me to believe that things will change. No. You have to, by your office as president, take action that I will see that things are going to change. Now, having said this, you also want to agree with me that the moment the Nigerian state accepts that we are fighting war, the international communities will come in to our aid. Look at what is happening today in Ukraine and Russia. You could see the support that Ukraine is getting, because that is war. If the Ukrainian government pretend to be that we are on top of the situation, we are not fighting, we are defeating Russia, you will see that Russia will just eliminate Ukraine. But because of every day you see the president of Ukraine going on social media, going on calling for help, calling for this, because he needs help truly and truly. And this is an artist, this is a comedian. He wasn't really a general at war, but he's leading the battle from the war front. But here is our president, a general, retired general and commander-in-chief of armed forces. He's not leading the battle from the front. It's leading the battle from behind. I am saying this.
That may not be fair.
And I will prove it.
A fair assessment.
Yes, and I will prove
of
this.
The president, because
and
he has shown you, whenever he has the opportunity to, explain to you the feats his administration has recorded, he will be very clear to tell you that although we still have the pockets of criminal element around the country, but we have dismantled them, we have decimated them. And he even cited example that the issue of Boko Haram has not been heard simply because there were some very deliberate steps that have been taken. For instance, if you check the records, 17 local government areas in 3 states of this country were occupied, but it's no more there. So that is to say that there is something that is done in that regard.
You see, I like this conversation because it will also help for us to assess the president and the government that is led by President Muhammadu Buhari. You are talking about territories being captured by quote unquote Boko Haram or terrorists. But I'm telling you that much more than the territories being captured, lives are wasted. In fact, it would have been better that territories are captured than wasting lives. The bandits or the terrorists have even diversified means, other approaches. They are bringing new innovation. They don't even. I came here and I told you that we have. When you talk about Boko Haram, that we have three sets of it. You have the political Boko Haram, you have the religious Boko Haram, and you have the ones who are hungry that you can simply call criminals. So this Boko Haram now, the one that is religious, or the one that is speaking about that Christian or that they don't want Western education, that is the religious Boko Haram. The political Boko Haram is the one that is trying to show that this government is unable to nip the security challenges, perhaps somebody somewhere, people are sponsoring it. Then the criminals are the ones that when they kidnapped, they demand for ransom. These ones are going because of they need, resources to take care of their families or whoever or whatever as the means of survival. Now, having said this, let's even leave the issue of Boko Haram. Let's look at the country generally. The president said he has spent over $1 billion buying ammunition, buying arms and equipment and so to fight Boko Haram since coming on board, or to fight this security since coming on board. But the question is, I agree the president is an upright man, is prudent, accountable. That, if you know President Buhari, that amount of money is what he has actually approved, and the money has been released. But go to the field today, you still see pocket of soldiers complaining of lack of welfare. You see policemen lack of uniform. I travel to Port Harcourt every now and then. You see police checkpoint on the East-West Road. As soon as you cross the bridge between River State and Akwa Ibom, I counted over 24 checkpoints. And you see those policemen. I buy water, I buy snacks, I buy things in my car. I give to them because those men look hungry. And when those men misbehave, you don't blame them because they are there since morning from morning till night, and there is no place that they can go and have refreshment. So the welfare of these men that are fighting this arm, fighting these criminals, are not well taken care of. Where is this money that have been released that spent by the president? Where are they being channeled to? Now this arm that have been acquired by the government to fight this insurgent, who are going to use them? How trained are these men? How mentally fit are they? How are they prepared psychologically? How are they even sound emotionally? Some leave their family, without able to take care of them, and they are there on the road, manning the roadblocks for us, ensuring that the road is safe, and their families are there under starvation, and the economy is harsh. So how much are they being paid? So with all this add together, we tell you that all is not well with our security architecture. So the president needs to do more to add to that. So come back to the issue of the insecurity that is affecting the electoral process. Of course, we expect that it will happen, that some persons who may not be happy with that we should have a change of governance will be carrying out selective attack on facilities of INEC. The question is, why is it that these facilities are more attacked in the southeast than other part of the country? I leave that for you to think about it.
All right. No, you are not leaving it for me. You're leaving it for the people who are watching. What do you think about INEC saying we are ready for presidential runoff? Are you also looking at the possibility that election may not be, a winner of the presidential election may not emerge at the first round of this election? Do you see, what are those indices that could be taken into consideration in thinking like this?
I must say, as a journalist, that headline is not the best for INEC. INEC is simply alerting Nigerians that there could be a runoff. It is not the duty of INEC to say so. It is the result, the outcome of the process that will tell INEC there should be, in line with the law, there should be a runoff.
But as an electoral umpire, don't you think that they have seen what is happening and
How do you see?
they think?
How do you see?
Are they not monitoring the electoral process?
No. What you see, INEC will not be the one to put exam and score herself. We are the ones that will assess INEC, how INEC perform. We have been doing that over the years. That is why we are here as society advocates and as the media to appraise INEC performance. So if INEC is now becoming an alarmist to say there will be a runoff, INEC is simply telling us that it believes in inconclusive election because we've been having that in the past.
What's your definition of proactivity?
Being proactive means that you get prepared for the unknown. Now, having said this doesn't mean that as a head of an institution, you will come out and say, I am preparing for the unknown because this is what I expect will be the result of this election. When you do that, you make everybody to go home and say, if tomorrow there is a runoff, INEC will say, I told you that it will happen. But INEC would have allowed, because it is the process. It is the process that leads to the result. It is the result that will not determine whether there will be a runoff or not. That is the point I'm making, because INEC is guided by law and by the act that has been signed by the president. If at the end of the day, the process that leads to the result is not credible, and INEC still insists on going on runoff, there could be chaos. But INEC should allow the process to be smooth, so that INEC will not, halfway change the goalpost and said, I have said there will be runoff. Let's do runoff. That is the idea I'm trying to paint.
Okay. The idea about the youth protesting the killing of the Reverend Father and burning a police station. How do you see that?
It is a sad one and condemnable. I read the incident of how the priest was killed, burned in his own house, and over 30 minutes or thereabout, the incident took place, or even an hour, there was no rescue. And I believe they must have alerted the security agencies. It called to high level of reasoning and questioning as to what we are actually facing, and why priests are the ones under attack. This very priest had raised alarm some months ago that he was under threat and all that, and nothing has happened. Just like Reverend Father Kuka has been raising alarm and nobody is talking about it. So it is a sad one and condemnable that the youth will take the law into their hands in a bid to express anger and disappointment of the security agency, but touching the agents of state like the police and the agents of democracy is not the best, because when you attack the police institution of law enforcement, you are simply trying to weaken the security forces. Of course, it has happened. I condole with the family, and I pray that the family God will give them the heart to bear the loss. But that being said, you cannot take the loss into your hands. Going to burn down a police station and even killing a policeman in the process is completely unnecessary.
21,000 ineligible voters found in 15 states. What's your take?
21 ineligible voters found in 21 states.
15 states.
In 15 states, rather. Is an alarming. It's alarming because it still shows that much is needed to be done in our electoral process. I'm happy that INEC has been able to come up with this, but I will want to ask INEC to let us know the states and possibly publish it, so that you don't use that as an alibi to create a window to make one party or to make one region or to make one state disadvantaged. You don't just come out give a blanket report and say 21,000, 21 this, and then 15 states. Let us know the state, list the states. Let's even know, so that we can check the records in those states. But when you make a blanket check, a blanket report like that way, what will happen could be, maybe you just look at a state where maybe somebody could influence and say, give this state this number, give that state this number. So that is what I'm trying to say. So INEC should be more careful. Like I have said over and over, this election will determine the fate of this country. So INEC must behave herself. Whatever action INEC will take should be in line with the law, and INEC should live above board and live and show us that it has display unqualified neutrality in the process, so that we can believe him. So that when INEC comes out with a report, with a result, all Nigerians will applaud him and say this is what happened. Just like what happened in 2015, when in the process of announcement of the result, you saw what happened at the in the INEC center. But the president, who was the sitting president, Jonathan, having seen that the process was free, fair, and credible, accepted the result. So if INEC is not displaying unqualified neutrality, INEC is trying to make it feel or show Nigerians that it has interest somewhere to favor one region or the other, or one state or the other, it could lead to chaos.
When INEC chairman was talking in Chatham House in London, about the 21,000 ineligible voters, because somebody posed to him as a question, the response was that, well, it is very, very minute. When you look at the number of people, number of registered voters in those 15 states, totaling, I think, about 37 million, and you take just 21,000 out of 37 million. I'm not sure of the number now, but it's about that region. So he said that the ineligible voters constitute just 0.07%, and you still have over 99.9, registered voters, having been, properly accredited and registered and all that. So he said, when you place 21,000 to the number of people that were registered, he said it's just like a drop of water in an ocean.
I disagree with him. I beg to differ from his opinion. The INEC national chairman was addressing the international community was in that particular forum, I believe the electoral umpire of UK is there, US is there, and other national or other countries. How would we feel? We just listen to the electoral umpire of USA coming out to tell us that 21,000 is a minute figure, so we can choose to do away with it. No, that's why I asked that question. Let's even get to know. Let it not be like an excuse for INEC to use to disenfranchise Nigerians. What do you consider as ineligible voters? Is it by age? Is it by double voting? Is it by where they have relocated to? Let us get to even know how, because there is no appeal panel for these persons to appear and make their cases. Are you using their pictures to say this one by appearance is not up to the age? So these are the questions that INEC need to answer. INEC should not just go and tell the international community that 21,000 is a minute figure, is 0.0%. It's not enough, explanation for me as one who has followed the electoral process since 1999. And so I think the INEC chairman should do more by coming out with data and figures. Let's even know the state. Let's know this person. If possible, publish their names. The reason is that it will also help, because I remember in 2011, the INEC chairman published, after the election, we saw a list of Peter Touch and George Bush on the INEC voters list, and it was questionable. We saw George Bush, Peter Touch, Billy Graham on the list of the voters. So if INEC could do us that good by publishing this list, it will also help us for claims and counterclaims.
What do you feel about INEC saying 2023 elections belong to young people? What does it mean?
Superb. Because if you look at the wave of things, starting from the NSAS protests, it created more awareness. What the NSAS protests achieved was to bring out the youth and let them know that the future belongs to them. That statement that the youth are the future leaders, I have been in primary school when I was being told that, youth are the future leaders, that you are future leader. I keep on, when will the future come? So I think this 2023 is when the future has come.
So is the future about the presidency? For instance, you heard that in primary school and you have grown to become a director.
I have not seen when the future has come.
No, you've grown to become a director of Center for Human Rights. That is leadership.
Well,
it mustn't be president.
Well, you see, it depends on how you look at it. Now, the youth are the future leaders. We still have elders. We still have statesmen who are 100 years wanting to be president, wanting to go and sit down and allocate our resources to us. We still have youth leader who is 55 years old or 60 years old in political parties. You still have village youth leader who is 70 years old, village youth leader. So when would this youth based on the United Nations standard, from 18 to 15, when will this youth take charge? It was just recently that we now had to protest and say we should have that not too young to run law that came into force. And how many of the states that you see youth taking positions of authority, when you see them come out, the elders will push them aside and say, this one's, you should think, you should be able to reason.
Is Governor Yaya Bello not a youth?
Good. But before he became the governor, you saw what happened. Now somebody died before he came up on board. It wasn't just he didn't just emerge. He wasn't the one that stood for the election. Somebody else who was supposed to be the governor that won the ticket, gave up before he took up. So it wasn't that easy for him. And even at that, when he came up to contest for presidential seat, you saw what happened at the primaries, at the APC convention. How many votes did he get? Because the elders have taken the wealth and they know how to use it to buy vote, and they've been able to bought vote to get themselves there. So when will this future become? When will the youth take charge? We are even looking at the age range of the major aspirants. Talking about Showore, do you see him, for instance, pulling the kind of resources that those other big parties, so to speak now, because I don't believe in big parties now, those other big names, if you want, have pulled? Has he been able to go around the country pulling the kind of crowd that you see in the rallies? Has he been able to do live stream, pay for live streaming on televisions and this and that? Because perhaps he's not he's not getting such kind of resources. Even when INEC has put a peg for spending of elections, These people still breach it. And because they are seen as the elite, they are seen as the financial, caterpillar and bulldozer, and they cannot go after them. Even when they have flagged the laws, even when they have gone against the hate speech, the this, that, the hate campaign, INEC will look this other way because INEC is afraid of them coming after INEC. So when INEC becomes
that's just
afraid,
your own opinion.
when INEC becomes afraid of those who are coming to contest, so how will you now see the youth
INEC has
becoming
not come out to say that they're afraid.
INEC came and hold a stakeholders conference. I think I told you here when I came here, he said INEC was inviting the parties for stakeholders to discuss about hate speech and hate campaign. I said, why call them when the law is clear about what to do? So today we are still expecting INEC to act. You've seen what is happening in the PDP and the APC. You've heard what they are saying.
So
have you now seen that INEC is not able to speak?
So in other words, you agree that 2023 belongs
To the youth, because we need to take charge. We need to begin to step into this the saddle and begin to take your destiny into your hands. I'm not saying go to the street to protest, but I'm telling you that the ELSA's protest had opened a vista, a new horizon for the youth to see that leadership belongs to them.
Let's take a look at the This Day newspaper because let's take a look at the This Day newspaper. The This Day newspaper, Ekwa president is saying, Church will announce presidential choice soon. Northern Christians already settled for Tiku, says Dogara. Muslim ticket recipe for disaster. Former vice president warns. In Ekiti, PDP candidate promises to prioritize human development. Inec held ECOWAS commission over dialogue with parties ahead of elections. MRA to APC PPC, your blatant disregard for journalist rights portends grave danger for media. And above the masthead of This Day newspaper, FG, Nigeria has enough external reserves to withstand global recession shocks. Mal's gradual removal of petrol subsidy from April says quantitative easing strategy impacting interest rates. Senate gives minister 3-day ultimatum to submit 23.7 trillion naira ways and means details. And those are the major ones on the This Day newspaper as we run straight to the Daily Times. The Daily Times has these: strike. FG issues certificate of registration to Konwa, NAMDA, gazettes both unions to operate alongside other varsity-based organizations. Said to pay ASU's rival unions 8 months withheld salary. Konwa, NAMDA, illegal groups university system can't be accorded recognition as so. That was exactly what I was coming to. The FG has issued certificates of registration to those two unions, and they have not paid ASU the 8 months salary, but they want to pay Kona and NAMDA. What do you think?
You see, that is what we've been saying. When you have dictators, people who don't think of the future of the youth in office, in the saddle of authority, they abuse it. Abuse is inevitable. This is a union, trade union, ASU, that embarked on 8 months industrial action. And because of Nigerian outcry, the Court of Industrial Arbitration gave a judgment, the appeal court gave a judgment, and ASU, yielded to it and call off the strike, or suspended the strike action, return to classroom, you now withhold the salaries. That being said, while that is going on, you go ahead to create splinter union. Those ones that you can call your loyalists. It's like what you want to do now is divide and rule tactics. So you just go, you create 2 new unions to split the ranks and file of ASU. So that if tomorrow ASU is to come on strike, these other ones will say, I will not join, some will say, I will not join. You will have a handful of ASU members. Where are we heading to? Are we heading to, where we have a better education? And come to think of it, what was these ASU members asking for? Were they asking for their personal welfare, or they were asking for the betterment and the good condition of our education? That is why the Minister of Labour, his kids are not in Nigerian university, they are somewhere in abroad. The president's children are in abroad. All those who want to be president today, none of them whose kids are in Nigeria. Look at the governors of the various states. Many of them, that the kids are in Nigeria. Even lawmakers, some of them the kids are in the US, and they are happy taking these pictures, snapping the event and putting up for us to see. That is the point. That is the point that we are making. So they don't even know the value of education. That is why I'm saying that 2023 belongs to the youth. I support INEC position. Let the youth take charge, because their destiny had been oppressed, had been squandered by our leaders. Look at what is happening today to ASU. The only platform that can speak for the good condition of our education today is ASU. Same thing happened some years ago when we had Frank Kokori as the Nopeng president. Then, because he led the protest against the Abacha government, they came up and created the Pengasun, just to split. They created Pengasun. When Adams Oshimelo was the president of NLC in 2000, because they led the protest against Obasanjo, created TUC. Now we are creating these other ones just because they led the protest that there is need for a better education. You now come and split it and create 2 other unions. And you're telling us that you're going to pay these ones the 8 months salaries. Let us know that they are. That you've declaring them your enemy. You are paying these ones, you will not pay this one. Why are you doing this? You want to create bad blood in the university system. You want to now politicize the institution so that there will be crisis amongst these leaders. There will be now breach of trust amongst themselves. How would they now feel to lecture in the same class? For instance, you have 3 lecturers to teach a student, and 2 of them have been paid salaries, 1 is not paid. How will this one that is not paid salary feel when it comes to class? These 2 have been paid. So because these 2 belongs to different unions. So it belongs to ASU. It's not paid. How will he give his best to teach the student? How will our institution fare under this kind of divide and rule policy of our federal government? So I think that the best thing for the federal government would have been to address the issue of ASU. If you want to create rival unions, if you want to create splinter unions, you just first of all settle the issue of ASU. Don't make it look like because ASU went on strike, you now create a union to split ASU. Let ASU issue be resolved. Then you now say, okay, fine, those who want to have a different union can now have, but you have been able to resolve the issue of ASU so that when ASU members go to teach, they are paid salaries. When these ones go to teach, they also pay salaries. No one will feel bad. But these ASU members go to the same market with these ones that are paying salary, and then they will buy fuel, put in their car, drive to school. These ones will trek to school. What are you sending? You will send a kind of a wrong signal to the institution, and this will lead to destroying and dampening the morale of our lecturers that we believe are giving our students the best.
So some people are saying that even the lecturers who allow themselves to be used by anybody, to split that body called ASU into these groups, don't mean well. They themselves don't even mean well, because I can remember one day, while the ASU strike was ongoing, I placed a call on, I think, one of the NAMDA representatives, and when I invited him for an interview, for him to come and explain what has been happening and why the situation has led to this, what he said to me? He said, "Whoever sent you, go and tell him you didn't see me." And I was very surprised for somebody to tell me that, simply because I want him to come to the studio and get the gist to everybody and all that. But frankly speaking, now, do you think there is a solution to this ASU federal government in Bricklayer?
The solution is I would recommend a very drastic solution, which might be seen harsh.
Like what exactly?
The Minister of Labour of Productivity is not fit to be there. He should resign.
And when the new one comes?
He will now understand. You appoint someone who is an academist, who understands the need of our education, who knows that there is need for us to have a better education for our students, where the president's children the president will consider his children, worthy of attending our public schools. The ministers will consider their children worthy of attending our public schools. It becomes like a law that you don't even send your children out of the country for foreign education. They should study. As far as you are in public office, you are paid public funds, your children will be in public schools. And this can only be done if our schools are fixed. And this can be done when you have the Minister of Labour who understands what labor dispute is, who understands what ASU stood for, who understands what the trade union stands for. Then you have a Minister of Education who knows the need for a better infrastructure of education. When have you heard the Minister of Education tour around the federal institutions in this country? When have you heard? You've not heard any. The last time I saw him on television was when he worked out on the students, who even went to plead to say, listen to ASU, let us come together. He worked out on them.
No, I don't think it was so.
He said the students were shouting at him.
The students did not go there to plead. The students went there to knock on his table and accuse him of sending his children to school, even when, in fact,
the children are in Nigerian school.
That is not even the point. They thought they saw a video of a certain political bigwig like that celebrating his child graduation abroad, and they mistook that situation to be that of the minister, and the minister did not have that kind of situation. So they virtually lied on the minister in his face, knocked on his table, and said all manner of things in a very rude manner. Okay. So if you are a minister of the Federal Republic and you have a visitor who comes to beat your table, is it not proper you just excuse them?
Well, I have table in my office. You have table in your office. Some have it. Those students you see today, you can see them as students. Tomorrow there is a governor amongst them. There is a president among them. There is a minister among them. There is a senator amongst them. Now the way you treat those students who were aggrieved that they have stayed in their houses for 8 months, waste away. Mind you that every employment you get in public service, they must put the age of 25. And these students have stayed for 8 months, losing a whole academic session. By the time they will finish and then go to NYSC and come out, they must have been 30. Some must have been 40. And then when the government want to employ, they now peg the age 25. So what are you trying to say? Are you not destroying this future, the future of the student that you say that the future is, you are the future leaders? That's the point. So when the students went there to speak to the minister, they went there first to speak to the one who is in charge of the education sector. They went there to speak to their father, who is supposed to address their issue. As a father, there are times my kids will be angry with me.
And they beat the table in front of you.
They could do anything when the children are angry. Now, when that is done, as a leader, as a public servant, you don't walk away on them. You understand that they have used the wrong approach. Your duty is to educate them. And the way you handle it as a father, the fatherly figure comes out in you. You display your maturity. You calm down the situation and then explain to them that this is not what it is, that they have misplaced or they are trying to misquote or misrepresent the event. Now, having said this, the minister should have told us where his children are schooling. That's the point. He should have told the student, no, my children, one of them is in the University of Uyo, the other one is in the University of Calabar, the other one is in there, and this faculty or U3. So that this student will now know that the minister's students are among those who are in their homes because of this strike.
But
he did not.
Maybe we should use this platform to also educate people who are angry, especially younger people, and to maybe advise them or remind them that this is Africa.
No.
That no matter
I disagree with you.
that no matter what happens, when you are in front of an elderly man, you behave like you are in the front of an elderly man.
Can I just say something? First of all, you must know that that is a public office.
Yes.
And you will take stones.
And that is why there must be decorum.
You will take stones.
In a public
space. They will
criticize.
It means that the minister won't take any critic amongst his workers. It means that he can bully his workers who will say this is not right. If you cannot stand those students who came from outside to express their anger, though in a wrong manner, then it means that the minister doesn't have the fatherly approach, a figure, and he's not even fit to be in public office. If he feels that he's too big than listening to those that he should listen to, then he shouldn't be there. So it means that if the minister was to be president of Nigeria today, where everybody is pointing fingers for failing this, failing that, it means that he will be calling us names, or he will just come in here and shut down your ABN for allowing me to come and talk. That is the point I'm saying. So he must have the temperament, the fit of a public office as a minister. Okay.
All right, so we leave it there. The Punch newspaper, I think this is going to be the last one. So let's quickly run to the Punch newspaper because the banner headline seems to be very interesting, and I know it's going to be interesting to the reviewer. Police presence at MFL's Abuja home stirs controversy. The CBN governor expected to appear in court today over $53 million judgment debt. Police deny arrest. Move DSS says deputy governors not acquised. What is the police doing at MFL's home?
Well, I have said over and over, the very day MFL indicated interest covertly or overtly, of being Nigerian president while sitting as a governor of central bank. That day, he attracted enemies to himself. That day, he lost the moral right of presiding over the central bank. That very day, he lost grip of loyalty that he had shown to the system. So, if you follow the way the DSS operate, they don't operate on hearsay. They operate obtaining clearance from Mr. President, who is the Commander-in-Chief of Armed Forces. They are directly reporting to Mr. President, not to any person. Now, for this matter to linger more than a month, it shows that Mr. President has given his consent to the action. The drummer that is beating the drums is in the bush for DSS to dance. So, the right thing for Mr. Emefiele to do should be for him to resign and go clear his names. That is the right thing to do, to stabilize the economy. The president, like I said before.
To clear his name over what?
Now I'm coming. You see, I have said here that the president has no economic advisor. The person who advised him on economic policy is the minister is the governor of central bank and the finance minister. There's no official person say this is economic advisor to Mr. President in this government. So the governor of central bank manages the economic policy, while the minister of finance manages the fiscal policy. And these are supposed to be Mr. President's economic advisor. But look at it. How is the economy faring under Emefiele and under the minister of finance? You can look at it. Dollar today, yesterday, I think I got a clue. Dollar is 735 naira per naira. So it's going down. What is happening today in our economy? I took time in Xmas period to go to market to know how food stuff. I could tell you the cost of food prices today have gone high. The wage bill that private homes are incurring because of the increase in petrol is something that somebody can really imagine. So having said all this, the Minister of Finance, the Governor of Central Bank are not helping matters. You are coming out with harsh economic policy, financial policy, you are bringing in new Naira note, you are saying by 30th or 31st of January it is going to be out of circulation, and up to today, the ATM is still dispensing the old Naira note. How do you add that? And you are putting pressure in the economy. That aside, he has been alleged to have been a sponsor of terrorists by the DSS.
Why did the delegation show up?
I'm just telling you, I say he has been alleged that he is the sponsor of terrorist groups and the rest. It is now left for him and DSS to sort that in the court. So appearing in court, you are sitting in office, you are going to court. Like you are saying, that is a major distraction to the economy and to central bank. And even the international community, they are watching. And how would they come in to invest in a country where the governor of a central bank is in court, is in dispute with the chief security officer and with the DSS?
Franklin Isong is the state director of Human Rights and Accountability Network, Akwa Ibom State Branch. Thank you very much. I know you still would have had much to say, but
yes,
we
I
want
do.
to do other things.
It's okay.
If we allow you, I know that by 10 o'clock you will still be talking. Because
we have so much to speak for this country and our economy.
So let's split it. We do it small this week. And
you call the shot here. I can. I take a bow.
Thank you very much. So we take a short break. When we come back, we are going to speak with two gentlemen on a political issue. We will be taking a look at the 2023 presidency. Please don't go away.